The Ravens backing up like Terry on 4th of July. You just had to be there to know what I'm talking about.
Backing up, Terry.
There you go. Less than 24 hours after the Ravens pulled out of their agreement there to trade the first 2 picks there from this year and last year or next year, the Raiders saying bye-bye to Maxx Crosby, and General Manager Eric DeCosta spoke to reporters, maybe sharing that he was gutted that the team had to reverse on a deal. Take a listen to this.
Nobody more disappointed than me. A player I greatly admire. I think one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. I know our fans were upset, devastated. I understand that. Tough situation. But I think for the Ravens, the right situation. And my role as GM and Jesse's role as head coach and Sashi's role as president, stewards over the organization. And we have to make tough calls. And this was certainly a tough call to make.
So Crosby, of course, responding to all this, of course, going from Baltimore back to Vegas, saying everything happens for a reason. Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. I'm a Raider. I'm back. Run that sugar honey iced tea. You can use your imagination there. Let's bring in our Jonathan Jones with more on this. And JJ, let's stick with that right there. I'm a Raider. It sounds kind of funny now. It doesn't sound solid. Your thoughts if that's going to be the case this season for him?
Well, there was no other choice, right? You have one team that pretty spectacularly failed him medically. So if you're the Raiders, are you going to continue shopping him when one team has failed him medically? Is this going to keep happening over and over? Are you going to subject him to that? Does he want to be subjected to that if that winds up being the case? You just had 2 first-round picks right there in your grasp, and then you lose it. You're not getting 2 ones for him right now, and clearly the Raiders believe that he is healthier short and long term than what the Ravens do, but will 30 other teams believe that? So then if you trade him, you're not getting what you want. And look, also this moment probably brought the 2 sides closer together, right? Mm-hmm. Things were very, very difficult there for a while, but now you got a new head coach in Clint Kubiak. You got all these new pieces in free agency. You're going to get a new quarterback in a few weeks. And so it does appear that Maxx Crosby is making a hell out of heaven, if you will, and a heaven of hell, if you will, to quote Milton. And so that is where we're at right now. He's a Raider because he has to be. And as time goes on, as he gets healthier, maybe trade talks will resume. But for now and for the foreseeable future, Maxx Crosby is a Las Vegas Raider.
Something we'll be watching, of course, the next couple of weeks and throughout the summer. We'll see what happens. But look, everyone has their thoughts of how this fell apart. From what you've heard, though, from others there, how is this viewed by the league and how others might be dealing with Baltimore in the future after this one fell apart here?
So there are a lot of eyebrows raised toward Baltimore. And Eric DeCosta, we heard him speak just a little bit ago. He also said when asked about sort of the reports that teams don't know if they can trust the Ravens, he said, well, my phone's been ringing just fine. And so teams will certainly still call the Ravens. Now, when we get to the trade deadline right around Halloween, and you're trading for someone and you're sort of trusting that other team's word and you're sending these picks, that may be a different story, right? And so we'll see how ultimately the market responds to the Baltimore Ravens if they wish to do more deals with Baltimore, or if things just get a little quiet for Baltimore and some of their top players and or guys with injury histories, if that trust will be there. Meanwhile, this was something that was well within the Baltimore Ravens' right. I know there's been a lot of talk about if there would be any recourse for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's what the legal tampering window is about. When you trade for someone and you give that player and that other team the opportunity to meet and go over medicals and release forms and all that, that is the time period to get things figured out. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what about the recourse for the Raiders? And the Raiders got screwed. That supposes that the Ravens are lying about their medical evaluation. We have to look at maybe the Ravens aren't lying. Maybe the Ravens doctors do see something right, and we won't know that for some time. The general public won't know that for some time. But if that's the case, then the Ravens did the right thing during the time period that was granted to them to figure it out. So all that, again, if Maxx Crosby goes out there, plays all 17 games, doesn't miss a snap, and has 20 sacks, the Ravens were probably wrong, right? But we have to wait to see that eventuality and outcome.
Yeah, so much to unpack from the presser with DeCosta. It was one point he was saying we're going to pair him and Trey together, or a speculation of having both ends there. That's another question mark. How would you afford that? Elsewhere, of course, more news when it comes to the QB market, and Kyler Murray set to visit Minnesota today. What more can you tell us about that and what to expect?
So the Cardinals finally released Kyler Murray yesterday. We've known it for some time. It appears they hung on to him just in case somebody wanted to trade for him. And the moment that they had to release him, they did, even though they had informed him of his eventual release about a week earlier. So Kyler Murray is going to meet with the Minnesota Vikings. You're going to hear that Kyler Murray could talk with other teams and really explore the landscape. The extreme expectation across the league is that Kyler Murray is ultimately going to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, some of that talk very well could be rooted in he's going to Minnesota, and he's faced with a potential quarterback competition with J.J. McCarthy. So he would like to be told, you're QB1. You'll get the first QB reps. You'll be the week 1 starter. Whatever he wants to hear in order to satisfy him, because as we look around the league, there's nowhere else for him to go to really be the starter, right? There's Arizona that he left, so that's out of the question. The Las Vegas Raiders are drafting Fernando Mendoza. That's not happening. The New York Jets are rolling with Geno Smith. So where else are you going? Yeah. It's either go with the Minnesota Vikings and potentially be the week 1 starter, or go somewhere else and be the backup. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers are still waiting to learn about that. But is Kyler Murray really legitimately going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow while Aaron Rodgers kind of hangs out and he may come back? And then what becomes of Kyler Murray? Your QB2 at that point, right? So for all of these reasons, it certainly appears that Kyler Murray will be the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings in a quarterback competition with J.J. McCarthy. It's just a matter of when.
JJ, please don't put any ayahuasca in our coffee cups. It's way too early. It's way too early for that right now. It's way too early. This may be a loaded question here. If you're drinking, that's up to you, buddy. That's up to you. When it comes to Kyler Murray, look, we've seen what he's done with vets in the past. You got Cousins, you got Daniel Jones. Obviously, they go there and somehow stars elsewhere. Outside of that, J.J. McCarthy is still there. How does that impact if he does sign there? What does that mean for J.J.?
Ooh, what indeed. You know, look, J.J. McCarthy's been given chances, right? They drafted him 10th overall. He goes out there, he has the knee, and obviously Sam Darnold takes over. What happened last year? You got to go back 12 months ago. They decided that while they did want Sam Darnold, they couldn't afford him and they couldn't promise him that starting job. And so he goes to the Seattle Seahawks. They liked Daniel Jones, wanted Daniel Jones back, but he decided, well, I don't want to compete with J.J. McCarthy, the 10th overall pick. I'd rather go somewhere and potentially win the quarterback starting job. He goes to the Indianapolis Colts, beats out Anthony Richardson, and now he's making $50 million this year. And so, but J.J. McCarthy was a bad starting quarterback in the NFL last year. He was 5th in interceptions, and he only played 10 games. He missed 7 games, and he wound up 5th in the league in interceptions. Of course, he wound up with a winning record. That speaks, of course, more to the team than it does the quarterback. And so he was given those opportunities, and he didn't make the most of them. And so he knows and has known for some time, the Vikings have been very clear and upfront with him, that they are bringing in competition. It is up to J.J. McCarthy what he does with that competition. It is up to him in OTAs, in minicamp, in training camp, in the preseason, to put on a performance that is undeniable, right? He'll be given opportunities by virtue of his draft pick and investment by the organization. But if the other guy's better, the other guy's going to start above J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to have to deal with that. And so that's where he's at right now. He had his chance. The NFL, the not-for-long league and all that, you don't get all of these chances over and over. The Vikings are too good of a team to keep giving this guy tries if he's not going to take advantage of it, and that's why Kyler Murray will eventually, by all probability, be in there soon enough as another quarterback.
Plus, you want to keep the other J.J., Justin Jefferson, happy with all this QB shake-up all the time, every single year in his prime. What happens there? Jonathan Jones, appreciate as always tapping on everything in the NFL. Want to go back to Kyler Murray, of course. He's 28 years old. That's the upside, but he's been dealing with injuries since 2021. Take a look at it. Ankle, ACL twice in 22 and 23. And then all those games missed there, including that foot injury, 30 of the possible 68 the last 5 seasons. Again, 28. The injuries have been his problem.